you. Hello, everyone. We aren't going to get started quite yet. We have several people in the waiting room, and we are going to give them an opportunity to get loaded. Forrest, how was your Thanksgiving?
Lovely, lovely, lovely. It was actually two Thanksgivings. Did one early at my home with my immediate family, and then at my brother-in-law's house. So I had to eat twice.
Nice, nice. Did something similar. I had Thanksgiving at my house the first weekend of November with cousins, and then had my mom always has Thanksgiving Day, and so
At first,
although she doesn't cook, so I can. The car was completely loaded. I took the turkey, I took the roasted carrots, I took three pies, I took the rolls.
we had three pies for five people, and two of those people are 2 years old and 5 years old. So there was a lot of food on my dining room table.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. All right. I think some people will have to catch up. So unfortunately, we're going to go ahead and get started without you because majority of the people are here. So welcome everyone to the SIP. This is where conversation sparks conversation, collaboration fuels progress, and industry leaders come together to share ideas, tackle challenges, and inspire change. Think of it like catching up over your favorite cup of coffee or adult beverage with a friend, and it's the insights that move us forward. At the Mortgage Collaborative, we're about creating space for innovation, growth, and meaningful impact. And today's episode is no exception. We're diving into real world strategies, success stories, and the kind of dialogue that reminds us why our community matters. So, thank you for carving out, no pun intended, with the turkey, time to be with us today. Today's show is proudly sponsored by CondoTek, a company that leverages technology and data to bring efficiency and automation to the approval and underwriting of condo and co-op loans for lenders of all sizes. And I'm thrilled to be joined today. My immediate friend, first introduction yesterday in a prep call, Oris Tomaselli, the president of Project Review. And if his title doesn't already say it all, trust me, this is a man that you want to know. So, welcome, Oris, and thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much. We're such proud members of the organization of TMC and love being able to help as many lenders as we can. Yeah.
Awesome. I think we share some similar passions, so excited to dive into that. Before we do, I have a few quick shout outs. First, to the entire TMC team, and especially our leadership, Ashlyn, Faith, and Mimi for running the show last week while I took some time off. They did an incredible job, and I was able to disconnect almost entirely, at least the most that I have disconnected from work since 2019. That's been a long time. So thank you all. And second, I'm grateful for the time I spent with my family last week. It reminds me how lucky I am to have this role at TMC. Honestly, I think I have one of the coolest jobs in the industry, and it fuels my passion to leave an impact and to help grow the next generation of leaders in the industry. So exciting. And third, OH.
Big win.
Forrest,
It's a
don't
big
leave me
win.
hanging.
It's
Don't
a
leave me
big win.
hanging.
Listen, I'm an Ohio State fan, but I'm an Ohio State fan because I am an absolute, not absolutely not a fan of Michigan, and I have a bunch of friends that are giant Michigan fans that went there, and I will not attend their parties anymore. So that was a giant win, and congratulations! Wow.
Thank you. So I am going to celebrate because we have no idea what's going to happen on Saturday. But I do want to point out a fun fact. I have known John Hill for many years. And on this particular weekend after Thanksgiving, I have heard from him every single year from knowing him Heard from him for a couple weeks. Suspicious. So, shout out John Hill. I'm going to gloat why I can. You did it the last 4 years, but it was pretty impressive. The worthless nuts thrive. So, let's dive into the show, shall we, before we get ourselves in trouble? Um, Oris, besides the Buckeyes win over the
Uh-huh.
team up north
Uh,
and Brutus writing script Ohio and dotting it on Michigan's field, what are you
uh-huh.
most grateful for this year?
I'll tell you, I have an amazing family, and for me, it's I have little ones and I have an older one. So I have a 23-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 5-year-old. So this Thanksgiving was pretty spectacular because our 2-year-old is talking like crazy. And so I have the big sister who just graduated with her master's and has a job. Woohoo! She's off the payroll. And she helps us out with the two little ones, and life is just kind of perfect.
That is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. So, tell us about your role at CondoTek. I alluded to you're the person that everyone wants to know, but tell us about your role and also what CondoTek does for those that haven't worked with CondoTek, which I can't imagine, but I'm sure there is someone on. So, let's give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. So, CondoTek essentially is a technology company that provides condominium data and documents, as well as reviews to lenders nationally. We work with hundreds of lenders throughout the United States, providing them with condominium documents once they originate a loan and have an intent to proceed from a borrower. We also launched several years ago our review division in which we not only collect condominium documents and cooperative documents, but provide a warranted review of those documents to our lender clients to ensure that they're Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac or FHA compliant and that they can close loans within those buildings. So my role at CondoTek is really just to ensure that the documents that we're collecting are the appropriate documents for review, that the lenders get in as complete package as possible in order to perform their review. There's so much back and forth in the industry and between stakeholders and property managers and condo boards and completing these questionnaires, and it just takes kind of forever. So I really drill down on what the agency lending guidelines are today, what they're going to be tomorrow, preparing for tomorrow, which we're going to talk about a little bit today, and making sure that lenders really have everything they need in order to make an appropriate decision about lending in those sites because condominium lending has changed so dramatically over the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and excited to dive into some of those pieces. Unfortunately, in 25 minutes worth of content, it's hard to fit it all in. But let's talk about condo pack and co-op pack. As someone who has led a lender in New York, I know firsthand how painful condos and co-ops can be. Loan officers treat them like they're single family homes and set the expectation that they can be done as quickly. Processors cringe when they see them. Underwriters cherry pick around them. How do these services change that experience and the benefit that lenders who leverage your services? How do you help with that?
Yeah, it's funny. So there are so many aspects of that question that I could, sit here and kind of go on a diatribe about, all the great things we do. I think it really boils down to a couple of main things. First of all, you know, disclosing the appropriate fee for collecting condo docs is really important, and our process makes that really easy. We're a flat fee for a condo pack of $495, regardless of what a property management group, what they charge for those documents, and sometimes it far exceeds $495.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so we're a volume operation though, so we do thousands of these document collections a month. So that's usually the one of the biggest features of the product is the cost associated with it and being able to disclose it easily and have a borrower pay for it. But I joke here that one of the biggest parts of our job is to make sure that every question is answered on a condominium questionnaire. And people think that's like, oh, that should be the easiest thing in the world. It's not. It's one of the most difficult things in the world in order to get, property managers or board members to answer questions that need to be asked about these condominium associations and then kind of drilling down into those questions and saying, okay, you answered this way. Well, this requires something else, right? This requires another piece of information. And our real goal is to be able to provide documents to a lender to make that decision that are complete so they don't have to go back. And if they decide to go back, we have a process for that too that's quick and efficient and easy. And we reopen those files should they want additional information. Um, but I have to tell you, it's kind of game changing in the industry because smallest lenders to the biggest lenders, that process of tasking a processor with, figuring out who the property manager is, then getting a check cut, getting the money from the borrower in order to pay for those docs, all of that goes away when brought into a lending organization in order to handle that process.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't realize that, and I want to call this out, just in case someone in the audience didn't pick up on it at first either. But by having that flat fee, it eliminates the need for redisclosure, and that has always been one of the pain points, whether it is, any third-party service that you're paying for. If the fee comes back differently than what you originally disclosed, do we miss redisclosing it and then are having to eat the fee? So I didn't realize that and want to make sure that we point that out as and definitely we're going to talk return on investment, but we'll preempt ourselves and that is one of them.
Yeah, it's
So
certainly, it's funny because it's such a small piece of what we do, but it's by design, right? It's by design to speed up
yeah.
that process of getting that loan to the closing table, right? And
Yeah.
all of those things are done by design.
Yeah. So one of the things that we like to do on the show and the lenders like to know is they to talk, for us to talk about things that have happened in the industry the prior week. And people, when I tell you that I was disconnected, I was not engaged in industry news. Or really any news whatsoever. I couldn't tell you what happened in the world last week. So, Forrest, was there anything in industry news that we all should know about, including me?
There is. It's funny. So I have this network of about 75,000 people that, kind of, work with us, jump onto our webinars, for some education that we've provided services to. And it's really funny because there is an enormous amount of chatter in the condo mortgage world right now, specifically around what are Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac going to do? Are there going to be any, upcoming guideline changes? And everybody suspects one thing or another. I think the industry is kind of pointing to, based upon all this chatter, is that there's going to be some changes coming in 2026. Some of those changes are going to provide relief to lenders by, possibly, I guess, loosening some of the guidelines around insurance for condominium associations. None of these guidelines are published yet. We're, unclear and unsure what those guidelines are going to be. But insurance is one of the biggest non-compliance factors that renders condominium associations non-warrantable. So
Yeah,
any relief in that regard is a big deal. So
yeah,
we're hoping that there's some relief there to let a lot more condominium associations either get off Fannie Mae's unavailable list and or get loans done within those organizations. Yeah. So that's one big one.
yeah, yeah. So Orist is definitely in the know in the industry when it comes to condos. Orist, please tell the audience some of the organizations that you're involved with. And then I have a follow-up question to that I didn't prepare you for. So
No, no,
tell
no.
everyone how you're in the know.
So, we are, or I am, a member of CAI, Community Association Institute's board on government affairs. So I work very closely with CAI, which is, represents thousands and thousands of condominium associations across the United States, and is their kind of agency, their internal agency or external agency, I should say, for providing them with support, those condominium associations. So I work on their government affairs committee and work directly with them in providing them as much guidance as I can on what the industry is needing, specifically for condominium lending. I also work on their reserve study. I'm also a member of their reserve studies best practices board. So trying to recraft what what CAI believes is a warrantable reserve study, so that we have a little bit more similarity and not reports that look completely different across the United States. If you do one in Florida or do one in California or one in New York, that those reports should have all the basic information there. And then at CondoTek, we have a large partnership with MGIC. And when we review a condominium project for warrantability and issue a warrantable determination, we have a fast track for mortgage insurance through MGIC, which is provided upon our acceptable review of that condominium association. So there's a lot of, there's a lot of discussions that go on in my life every week with a lot of these organizations and kind of trying to push the same thought process, which is expanding lending in the country, making lending easier in the country while still ensuring warrantability.
Yeah, and I know that you know things that you're not allowed to share that you know, but when you're allowed to share that you know them, I am hopeful that you will provide. It can be, you can send it to me in a video, we can get on a call again, but I would love for you to share news and also provide your perspective on what new news means, because oftentimes, when we in the industry get news, it's not that clear or is as clear as mud. So I'd love to have your perspective to be able to share with the network on those changes that are upcoming.
Yeah, I'm happy to. And look, some of the changes are being talked about right now and have been talked about for many, many years. And some of those changes are, one of the biggest, in addition to maybe getting some relief for insurance, some of the insurance guidelines that currently exist at the agencies. There may be some major changes to limited review and maybe, limited review not, being available as it is right now for condominiums. And I think all of this goes to the big concern and by the agencies of ensuring that critical repairs and deferred maintenance doesn't exist within condominium properties, or if it does exist, that it's being really thought about and that they have enough capital to make the
Yeah.
repairs that are necessary. Because the aging infrastructure around the United States is something that they've identified, but the reality is, it's been going on for a long time. There are a lot of
Yeah.
associations that, or condominium buildings, I should say, that, I review a lot of these. There are some that I wouldn't lend $5 to, let alone provide a mortgage in, right? And I know
Yeah.
that's like maybe not a popular opinion, but I have to tell you, when you drill down into some of these associations, you're in shock as to
Yeah.
how poorly they're run. And then the opposite of that, by the way, Jody, is that there are some really well-run condominium associations across the United States that may
Yeah.
have a little issue or need a little tweak or need something in order to get back in the good graces of the agencies.
Yeah.
And that's what we really strive to work toward and get done for the
Yeah.
clients of ours.
Yeah, we're used to unpopular opinions, but when you drill down to the nuts and bolts of it, it really is. It mitigates risk for the lenders, and being able to have a saleable loan is what the ultimate goal is. And although we might not always like the answer, we're appreciative to the answer so that it helps, mitigate pain for our lending organizations. But back to CondoTek. So you've completed over 30,000 project reviews.
Mhm.
served 900 plus lenders covering 50 states, and delivered more than 100,000 condo packs.
Mhm.
Big question. So we've already identified one. We've probably identified three when you were telling us what you do, but what is the return on investment for lenders?
Yeah, there's a quality that exists when you get a package from us. And it is that ongoing, continued quality that, is really hard to find through the stakeholders right now. So the quality and robustness of the document package we provide is gigantic and it's a big ROI. But there's a lot of efficiency in the process of ordering through us that really helps speed along the process of getting a loan to the closing table. Our average turn time is between 4 and 5 days of providing documents once they're ordered. So, we have a lot of lending organizations that have us as part of their initial process. As soon as they get an intent to proceed from a client, an immediate order is placed on any single condo that's originated within that organization. That makes our job very easy because we can collect the documents quickly. Our joke at our organization is, everybody wants a rush button, right? Every single order is a rush for us. We have an entire team of trained individuals, more than 54 employees at the firm, essentially, that spend every single day picking up the phone, calling back a property manager, calling Mary or John, who may have their, documents on sticky notes across their desk, right? And on a specific condominium project and putting and getting all the information that's necessary for a lender is our biggest benefit. I have to tell you, it's really funny. Because we see so many condominium sites across the country and because we have so much data on these properties, one of the things that, kind of happens is we see trends before anybody else does, right? Even
Yeah.
geographic areas. So, like if there's an insurance trend that, something that's, not compliant about, insurance policies that we see in Georgia or wherever it may be, we identify that pretty easily and pretty quickly because we're so vast and we have such a robust team. Um, that we can make corrections, and whether that's corrections in asking for the appropriate data or asking in a different way so that we get the data in the right manner or the appropriate data for review. We really focus on that side of it, as well as, by the way, and I feel like I'm telling you 12 reasons for ROI, but the other piece is because we're so connected to the guidelines and the industries and throughout these industry organizations we work with, um, we're prepping our packages now for guideline changes that are likely to come in the next month or two. And that happens constantly, right? So the
Yeah.
day the guidelines change is the day we start providing documents in the manner that's necessary for review. It's a
Yep.
big deal.
Yeah, and the rep and warranted approvals are just, it's invaluable. My friend Craig Angaro at Annie Mac for years, when you talk about ROI, he is very quick to point out soft ROI, the ones that you can't measure in dollars and cents. And for me, the biggest ROI was peace of mind because I've used CondoTek and knowing I wouldn't face post-closing nightmares with condo and co-op documents. I mean, who in the industry hasn't chased down a co-op board for a signature after closing? If you haven't, it's because you haven't originated co-ops in your career. It's brutal. They meet when they want to meet, and not everyone shows up. And it is just like, you can't explain the peace of mind that you get as a return on investment of using a company like CondoTek to help protect you.
Yeah, thank you. It's fun. It's exactly right. And, the biggest thing that we've heard recently is that, there are so many repurchases, so many like I get phone calls, we had 18 repurchases this month and we want to talk to you about doing our reviews because, there's obviously an issue, right? It could, for a small to mid-sized lender, in some instances, that could be a company killer. I mean,
Yeah.
a
Yep.
lot of loss there. So,
Yep.
You know, I won't say it, where our reviews, because they're warranted, when we have a lot of small to mid-sized lenders that use us entirely as their back office for review. And
Mm,
it's fantastic for them because they actually not only do they get their documents quickly, reviews take a little longer because you really have to drill down into the project. Um, but I'll tell you the peace of mind that it gives them and knowing that, they're going to be able to sell that loan with, essentially zero recourse, right? That
yep.
doesn't exist really in this industry right now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And, TMC is made up of small and mid-sized lenders, though we have some that are quite large. But they started small and they grew with us. So when you say that CondoTex works with any size, does it really mean any size, even someone originating just one condo or co-op a year, a month?
It's so funny. We get this question all the time. We have no minimum, right? So, and there's no contract essentially with us to provide a specific amount of orders per month. So for us, it's really fun because we get to see, if we have a small mortgage broker who does one condo loan a year, we're the perfect organization for them. Not only do we collect the documents quickly and do the review quickly for them or as quickly as possible, but they can rely on that. And then we have lenders that, we have one lender that originates 70 condo loans a day.
Yeah.
So so we run the gamut. The bottom line is that there's no minimum to utilize us, flat fee to utilize us, easily disclosable. And as a tech company providing data that's, it's kind of unheard of in this industry to provide it in the way that we do with such a complete package.
That is amazing. And for the audience, CondoTech has a fantastic resource for condo knowledge and education. So make sure that you check out their blog section of their website. Tony, if she hasn't already done it, was going to drop that in the chat for everyone. Be sure to check it out. And definitely, you will find something in there that you didn't already know. I promise you. So, Oris, quickly, one of the knowledge pieces that I saw was the state of the condo market, and I imagine condos will continue to be a hot topic in 2026. Any data or insights that you can share ahead of the condos or co-ops?
Yeah, I think I think new guidelines from the agencies are going to be coming out, in and around December before the end of this year. I think they're going to be impactful. I think that as with anything else in any aspect of lending, there's going to be complexity around condominiums and making appropriate decisions. But with any of those difficulties, there's a tremendous opportunity, right? So we see lenders right now kind of diving into this and saying, okay, let's, create a list of, the 10 condominium projects around us, in this geographic area because we want to lend in them and get them all approved or look at each one of them to see if they're compliant. And I think that's going to start happening more and more. And then I think there are a lot of associations, if I'm looking forward into next year, that have been bitten by the, ineligible for residential mortgage financing, being on Fannie Mae, being ineligible, being on, their non-warrantable list. Um, and I think they're finally getting the point. So I think you're going to see a lot of associations, condominium buildings kind of trying to fix their problems. Um, we offer services here for condominium associations directly to get a review from us, the same review we provide to lenders. We call it our lending compliance report. And we've done it on hundreds of condominium communities that have been determined to be non-warrantable. So I think you're gonna see a lot more buildings being non-warrantable and a lot more buildings coming off of that non-warrantable list because they're finding out how to get off of that list. So I think there's going to be a lot of lending in condo next year. I think it's going to be a little trickier than it has been
Yeah.
in previous years. Um,
Yeah.
Again, there's opportunity there.
Awesome. That's a wrap on today's episode. It went by fast. This episode was sponsored by CondoTech. Oris, thank you for your insights, your leadership, and your passion for the industry. I love it. And to our audience, thank you for tuning in. Your curiosity and engagement are what fuels our community. We will be back next Tuesday, December the 9th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, TMC members, and then live at 4 p.m. Eastern for the broader industry. And if you found today's episode valuable, just imagine 3 full days of this energy. Our Desert Disruption Conference in Scottsdale, February the 22nd through the 24th. Early bird pricing does end December 22nd, so get registered. Cheers, and until the next time on the SIP OH. Thank you, Orist.
Thank you.